What's going on, everybody? This is LB the Realist with Surrealistic Studios, Surreal News, where the real is surreal. And this is completely surreal. I am baffled. I am stumped. I am flabbergasted. All right, let's start off with the good news, all right? The good news is Bernie Sanders won California. Tidbit of bad news with that. Okay, he won California, but he didn't win by a wide margin like we thought he was going to win. So there wasn't a blowout in California the way there should have been. But he won nonetheless. Now, Bernie Sanders also won Utah. That was that one I believe was pretty decisive, as well as Vermont. That was pretty decisive. Vermont is his home state. I mean, so that should be decisive. It would look horrible if it wasn't. Colorado is another state that Bernie Sanders won. Bernie Sanders won 4 states, folks: California, Utah, Vermont, and Colorado. Now, I made a prediction in my last video. I said that Bernie Sanders would take Texas because he was ahead in the polls for the most part. There was a couple of polls that showed Biden was catching up or closing the gap, but Bernie was poised to win Texas. So I don't know what the hell happened there, but yeah, he lost Texas. Bernie Sanders lost Texas. It was close. It was by a few points, but he lost Texas. There were reports of people waiting in long lines in predominantly black neighborhoods, people that were given provisional ballots. This happened in California because they were told that provisional ballots were the same thing as regular ballots. Now, I didn't dive into that story, but these are just a few of the cases that I've heard of that came out of yesterday's Super Tuesday. So this happened in California and Texas. Joe Biden had a very good Super Tuesday. It was very super for Joe Biden, not so super for Bernie Sanders. I know a lot of us are real, I don't know, we're licking our wounds right now for sure. We were licking our wounds when Joe Biden won South Carolina. We are really licking our wounds today. I've been getting into it with people on Twitter because I said, look, everything is going on. If the establishment Dems make Joe Biden the Democratic nominee and he faces against Donald Trump, he will be slaughtered. He will be slaughtered. Donald Trump will have a field day where he will mop the floors with Joe Biden. We keep yelling this from the mountaintops. You guys are not listening. So when I say this on Twitter and I say I'm gonna laugh my ass off when Donald Trump wipes up Joe Biden in the debates, people are getting mad at me as if, oh, well, as if I voted for Trump, or as if I chose to prop Biden up, as if I'm the reason why Trump is doing all these messed up things to these kids in cages, and like I'm laughing at the kids. And no, I'm not laughing at kids in cages. I'm laughing at the dumbass political establishment that let this shit happen. And they actually think that propping up somebody like Joe Biden, who had the exact same policies as Hillary Clinton, who is the establishment candidate just like Hillary Clinton, who is the big money, big super PAC money taking establishment candidate just like Hillary Clinton was. They're doing the exact same shit with Joe Biden. And you expect me to be, I don't know, cheery and joyful about a Joe Biden candidacy going up against Donald Trump when we know what the outcome is going to be? But I'm the bad guy because I say that I'm going to laugh my ass off, honestly, when Joe Biden goes up against Donald Trump, as if I'm supposed to feel bad for Joe Biden. I mean, I kind of do. I kind of feel bad for Joe Biden, but at the same time, I'm not the one propping him up. I'm not in his circle that's feeding him lies, telling him that he has a shot against Donald Trump, telling him that he's actually mentally coherent. I'm not in his circle telling him these lies. So how am I the bad guy? How am I the bad? I have no control over this shit. I cast my vote just like everybody else does. And guess what? I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for none of his disastrous immigration policies. I didn't vote for any of his bullshit. I did not. I voted for Bernie Sanders, and hell no, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton's bullshit either, because she was just as flawed of a candidate. as Joe Biden, except for actually she could put together sentences. So this time around, it's like the Democratic establishment are hustling in reverse, even worse than what they put up with Hillary. They propped up Hillary even though they knew she was a flawed candidate. Now they're propping up Joe Biden in the exact same manner. But people on Twitter and social media, people on Twitter and social media want to act like people like me are to blame because we support a candidate we actually believe in, because we support a candidate that has a grassroots movement with real grassroots funding, a whole revolution to compare and to compete with Donald Trump's revolution. Because don't you get this shit twisted. People who love Donald Trump love Donald Trump. He's not just paying people like Michael Bloomberg. The love for Donald Trump is genuine. People will take bullets for Donald Trump. He said it himself. He could stand in the middle of Times Square, shoot somebody in the face, and he would hardly lose support at all. How much of that do you think is hyperbole? Because yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy, but when you really think about it, how much support do you think he would really lose? I've watched so many people come and go and be propped up and fall so damn low because they had such high standards, and then as soon as Trump came around and you know, the Trump momentum hit them. You know, they got Joe momentum. When the Trump momentum hit them, you know, all of a sudden they figured out, oh, I could probably get some views, you know, being on Trump's side. Or, oh, Trump has a whole revolution. He has a whole cornucopia of different type of people that worship and idolize him. I could capitalize on that. We could easily be one of those type of people. But we're not. You know, these people will capitalize on everything that Trump does. They don't care what he says or what he does. Their level of support for Donald Trump will never cease. You have to fight that with the movement, with the revolution of good, progressive-minded people. That's the only way you're going to be able to win against Donald Trump and his nonsense. Nobody's going to rally behind Joe Biden. You knew nobody was going to rally behind Michael Bloomberg. You knew nobody was going to rally behind Amy Klobuchar or Pete Buttigieg. Don't get me wrong. Pete Buttigieg fans that really love Pete Buttigieg really love Pete Buttigieg. My bad. He has a dedicated select group of people that love him, but he was not going to spark off a total revolution. He was not going to get the people behind him in order to defeat Donald Trump come November. So this is what the establishment is doing. They're propping up Joe Biden. Amy Klobuchar dropped out of the race and endorsed Joe Biden. Pete Buttigieg got out of the race and endorsed Joe Biden. They even brought back Beto O'Rourke, came out of the shadows, came out of retirement from the for running for president just to endorse Joe Biden. Michael Bloomberg dropped out of the race yesterday and endorsed Joe Biden. They've all coalesced behind their nominee, their establishment pick, the person who they know, who has said out of his mouth that nothing will fundamentally change. Nothing will change with Joe Biden. But you think that that is the candidate we need to defeat Donald Trump come general election? I can't believe Biden won Minnesota and Massachusetts. No doubt that Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren staying in the race is hurting, or Amy Klobuchar endorsing Biden and Elizabeth Warren staying in the race, not endorsing Bernie Sanders. No doubt that that's hurting him. And I'm not going to be one of these people that is going to beg Elizabeth Warren supporters to see the light. They've already chosen their candidate. They've already chosen who they want to lead the country. Even with all the lies, with all the bullshit, with all the cowardliness, or is that a word, cowardliness? Cowardness, or you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Just like Joe Biden said. You know? We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are... You know what I mean. This is the guy they want. This is the guy that they're coalescing behind. So my guess is that Elizabeth Warren is going to drop. Her campaign said today that they're reassessing her campaign. So my guess is that she's going to drop out soon. She didn't even win her home state. She didn't win her home state. So she's going to drop out soon. She's probably going to throw her support behind Joe Biden, because let's face it, if she really wanted to support Bernie Sanders, she would have done that already. She could have done that already. She waited until this long, until this Joe Mentum hashtag is building up, and now she wants to reassess her campaign. Ridiculous. So to say that I'm jaded is yeah, that's to say the least. And I know a lot of other people are feeling the exact same way. The exact same way. I got my girlfriend to vote for Bernie Sanders. I got my mom to vote for Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying? We are real people out here doing what we have to do. We're talking to our family members. We're talking to our coworkers. We're talking to everybody about it. But as I said, and I got into a fight with somebody on YouTube about this same subject, how much more can we do? Like, how much more can campaigners do? How many more phone calls can we make? How many more text messages can we send? We've been already working in overdrive. How many more videos can people make? How many more rallies can Bernie Sanders have? How many more people can we talk to convince that Bernie Sanders is the right choice without fully comprehending and realizing, hey, wait up. Maybe people have already made their choice. I'm not saying that it's over. I'm not giving up hope. What I'm saying is, maybe there's just some people that heard Bernie Sanders' message and they still don't think that he's electable. They still can't comprehend what it is that he stands for. They still call him a socialist. They're still calling him a communist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not giving up hope, but at what point do we realize that it's going to take more than just making a phone call or a text message? It's going to take more than that. You know, Bernie Sanders has been, you know, all too nice to Joe Biden and the other candidates on stage. Even to Michael Bloomberg, saying that he would endorse or he would support any candidate for Democrat up against Donald Trump. How? Why? How can you say that when you had Michael Bloomberg running as a Democrat and he's no better than Trump is, if not worse? If not worse, how can you say that? But this is the reality. This is the truth. This is how a lot of people think. They'll vote blue no matter who. There's no amount of convincing them. Bernie Sanders has been campaigning nonstop since 2015. Just like Donald Trump. He's been campaigning nonstop since 2015. How many more rallies can he do? How many more people can he talk to? Now, of course, you can say, well, Bernie Sanders, you know, he didn't go into all the neighborhoods like he should have. He didn't talk to all the right people that he should have. When he sent Nina Turner, he sent Killer Mike to talk to these people. He should have been the one talking to him. Fair point. That is a fair point. When you say, well, Bernie Sanders never had a black message. If he adopted a more progressive black message or hashtag ADOS or something along those lines, he would have locked up black support like nothing, young and old. But then again, we got people like Jim Clyburn saying, laughing at reparations, saying he wouldn't do nothing. You're crazy if you think that they're gonna do anything for black people. A lot of the politicians think this way. They don't want to give ADOS or African Americans anything. Don't give them anything. So you can blame Bernie Sanders for not being for reparations or not having a complete or a sufficient black agenda, or for not going into certain or talking to certain people, going into certain neighborhoods and talking to certain people. You can absolutely blame him for that. But we got to come to grips with the reality here. Not only is all that stuff going down, but yes, the establishment is doing some fuckery. Like I stated earlier in the video, there were lines that stretched out way across and way around the corner of the, you know what I'm saying, of the polling place. 30 minutes after polling places had closed, they still had lines going out around the corner. You know what I'm saying? They were calling certain primaries before we had votes in, before we could see any percentages. They were calling it for Joe Biden. You know, so we definitely have some fuckery in regards to this Super Tuesday. And I'm sure more of this fuckery is going to come to light. But yeah, you can, I'm totally disappointed. Totally disappointed. Bernie Sanders won California, and I'm happy about that. But he did not win as decisively as I thought he would. He didn't win Texas, which I thought he was going to win Texas for sure. That would have gone a long way because those are the two biggest states. You know what I'm saying? So that would have gone a long way, but he didn't win Texas. He lost by a few points. You know what I'm saying? So Biden is currently up in the delegate leads. He's up in delegates right now. Bernie Sanders is no longer the front runner. Joe Biden is back to being the front runner, and he's back to enjoying this hashtag Joe-mentum. So here we go, folks. Here we go. We got a race. We got a race. We need all these celebrities, everybody that supports Bernie Sanders to come out the woodworks now. The time is now. People are choosing their side. I love Tulsi Gabbard. I love Tulsi Gabbard. But it is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. But it's just my opinion. It is my opinion that now is definitely, if it wasn't before, it is definitely the time to come out and support Bernie Sanders. Throw her weight behind Bernie Sanders. There will be other elections. There will be other elections. You know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't have to go all out now when it's clear that she has no real path. The time is now. We have to start coalescing behind our progressive candidate. You know, and I don't want to tell anybody how to vote. I can only offer you my opinions and my suggestions. So you do with it as you will. No harm, no foul. I'm not going to vote or shame you. I'm not going to blame you. None of that. Because at the end of the day, we vote our conscience. We vote for who we believe in. But if you ask my opinion, if you believe in Medicare for all, if you believe that people should have health care, no matter if they have $200 in their pocket or $2 in their, or no dollars in their pocket, you know, a Green New Deal. If you believe, if you don't even have to believe in a Green New Deal, just believe in climate change. Just believe that we should do something about the problems of climate change and everything, of these worsening natural disasters. If you believe in having, you know, gun reform that actually makes sense for both sides, not just, you know, not over the top, just, you know, stupidity, but common sense gun reform. You know, these are all things that Bernie Sanders stands for. And it makes absolutely no sense to somebody like me that they would say that Joe Biden has a better chance to defeat Donald Trump than a person who actually stands for something and who has been standing for something for years. You're crazy if you believe that Joe Biden has a better chance than that person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But if they choose Biden as their nominee, I'm going to laugh my ass off because that's all I can do. I did my part. I voted. That's all I could do is to laugh my ass off at your stupidity. So with all that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. Like this video if you like. Comment at the end of this video. Let me know what you have to say. Let me know your opinions and your thoughts. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't before. And share this video so they can get the message. And let it be known, I endorse Bernie Sanders. The time to coalesce behind progressivism and progressive values and human values. Let alone progressive values, just human values. The time for human values is now. Let it be known. Love, peace, and light, folks. Until next time, I'm out.